Intermittent reinforcement is one of the most damaging forces in relationship psychology because it does not just change how you feel about someone, it changes what you tolerate, what you chase, and what you call love. Over time, it changes your self-respect in a way that is so quiet you do not notice it until you look back and realize you have been negotiating yourself into a smaller and smaller life. Here is the hard truth. You do not lose self-respect in one dramatic moment. You lose it in 1,000 tiny moments where you accept inconsistency as normal, where you accept silence as a response to needs, where you accept crumbs as proof of potential, where you accept anxiety as your baseline. And the reason it is so hard to stop is because intermittent reinforcement creates an addiction to relief. Not love, relief. Your nervous system gets trained to chase the moment the anxiety stops, and you start confusing that moment with the person. Today, I am going to show you what intermittent reinforcement does to your brain and body, why it feels so addictive, how it quietly rewires your standards, and how to rebuild self-respect without drama, without begging, and without turning healing into another performance. Because you can be intelligent and still get caught in this. You can be strong and still get caught in this. You can know the concepts and still get caught in this. Because this is not only about thoughts, this is about conditioning. It is about nervous system learning. It is about what your body starts expecting as normal. If this kind of clarity helps your nervous system settle, subscribe. PsychBond is a daily decoder for avoidant and anxious patterns, so you stop guessing. Let us define intermittent reinforcement in plain words. It means the reward is unpredictable. Sometimes you get warmth, sometimes you get coldness, sometimes you get closeness, sometimes you get distance. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they disappear. Sometimes they make you feel chosen, sometimes they make you feel like you imagined it. The unpredictable part is what makes it sticky. If someone is consistently kind, your body can relax. If someone is consistently unavailable, your body eventually gives up. But if someone is sometimes kind and sometimes unavailable, your body stays in the chase. Your brain stays in tracking mode. You keep thinking the good version might return any moment, so you keep investing. And you keep investing even when it is costing your dignity, your sleep, your appetite, your focus, your peace. Now, I want you to notice something. Intermittent reinforcement is not only a relationship concept, it is the same training principle used in gambling, in certain social media loops, in any system where the payoff is inconsistent and your brain keeps pulling the lever. In relationships, the lever is your hope. The payoff is their warmth. The cost is your self-respect. Here is how it starts. It usually starts with a peak, a honeymoon pocket, a week where they feel present, a night where they are soft, a stretch where they text first, a conversation where they sound sincere. You get a hit of closeness and your nervous system relaxes. Then the pattern shifts. They go quiet. They get busy. They get vague. They disappear. They act like your needs are heavy. Now let us connect this directly to self-respect. Self-respect is not a vibe. It is a pattern. It is the habit of staying aligned with what is true for you, even when you want relief. Intermittent reinforcement attacks self-respect by teaching you to prioritize relief over alignment. It teaches you to accept less because less stops the anxiety for a moment. So you start making small trades. You trade honesty for a calmer day. You trade boundaries for a nicer night. You trade clarity for access. You trade your voice for the hope that they will not leave. And each trade seems small. That is why you do not notice it at first. It feels like being understanding. It feels like being patient. It feels like being mature. But over time, those trades add up to a life that does not feel like you. Now I am going to name the self-respect erosion pattern step by step. Step 1 is confusion. You notice the inconsistency and you try to explain it in the kindest way. They are stressed. They are busy. They are healing. They got hurt before. Step 2 is self-editing. You start changing your behavior to get the good version back. You become more easygoing. You ask for less. You keep it light. You avoid topics that might trigger distance. Step 3 is bargaining. You start thinking, if I do it right, it will stabilize. If I stay calm, they will not run. If I do not mention the thing, it will be fine. Step 4 is self-silencing. You stop expressing needs because you learned needs lead to withdrawal. Step 5 is normalization. The inconsistency starts to feel normal. You start saying things like, "This is just how they are." Step 6 is identity shift. You start becoming someone who waits, someone who accepts, someone who hopes, someone who overthinks, someone who apologizes first, someone who feels grateful for basic respect. That is the moment self-respect becomes something you talk about while living in a pattern that contradicts it. Now, I want to make this extremely real with relationship scenes because your nervous system recognizes scenes faster than theory. Scene 1. They are amazing for 3 days. They text, they flirt, they make plans. They make you feel special. Then, they go quiet for 2 days. No explanation. You feel your stomach drop. You start replaying everything. You start checking your phone. You start wondering if you did something wrong. Then they come back with warmth. They say they were busy. They act like nothing happened. Your body floods with relief. You feel silly for being upset. You decide not to bring it up. That is the pattern training you. Scene 2. You finally ask for clarity. You say, "I like you. I want to know where this is going." They pull away. They get irritated. They say you are overthinking. You feel the relationship slipping. Your nervous system panics. You backtrack. You say, "No pressure, I was just asking." They soften. They become affectionate. You feel relief. Your body learns a lesson. Needs lead to distance. Shrinking leads to closeness. That is intermittent reinforcement teaching you to abandon yourself. Scene 3. They cross a boundary. They cancel last minute. They vanish after intimacy. They flirt, then go cold. You get upset. Then they do something sweet. A compliment, a tender apology, a big affectionate moment. You soften. You tell yourself they care. Nothing structurally changes. The behavior repeats. That is how self-respect erodes. Not because you are blind, but because the relief keeps resetting you. It makes you feel like the relationship is improving when it is actually cycling. Scene 4. They keep you in a pocket. They are warm in private, vague in daylight. They say intimate things but avoid structure. You feel chosen in moments, unsafe over time. Your self-respect starts to turn into waiting. Now, here is the part that shocks people. Intermittent reinforcement can make you protect the person who is destabilizing you. because your brain starts linking them with relief. When they return, your body calms, so your brain labels them as the solution, even though they were also the trigger. This is why people stay in situationships, in hot and cold dynamics, in avoidant and anxious loops, even when they know it is hurting them. Their nervous system is not chasing pain. It is chasing the end of pain. Now I want to put this in the nervous system lens, because this is the core of the episode. In the body, uncertainty feels like threat. Threat activates scanning. Scanning produces anxiety. Anxiety produces urgency. Urgency makes you reach. You text, you check, you over-explain, you perform. Then they respond. Relief arrives. The body calms. The brain says, "Good, do that again." That is conditioning. Over time, your body starts craving the relief hit more than it craves stability. That is why steady people can feel boring when you are trained by intermittent reinforcement. Your nervous system has been living on spikes. Healing is learning to crave steadiness again. Now, let us be direct. Intermittent reinforcement does not only keep you attached to them, it changes your standards. It changes what you accept. You start calling basic decency a gift. You start calling consistency too much. You start calling your needs dramatic. You start calling your boundaries pressure. You start calling your pain sensitivity. And that is where self-respect gets harmed. Because self-respect is the ability to trust your own perception. Intermittent reinforcement makes you doubt your perception. It makes you ask, "Am I asking for too much?" when you are asking for the basics. Now, I want to give you the cleanest way to spot intermittent reinforcement quickly. Ask yourself this: do I feel calm over time or only in moments? Do I feel safe over time or only when they are present? Do I feel more like myself or less like myself? Do I feel clearer or more confused? Do I feel steady or like I am always waiting for the shift? If the answer is that you only feel calm in moments, you are likely in intermittent reinforcement. And if that is true, your next move is not to demand more affection. Your next move is to bring structure to the front, because structure is what ends the loop. Now we need to talk about the most common mistake people make when they try to leave this pattern. They try to leave with emotion instead of structure. They send long messages. They explain their feelings. They ask for reassurance. They ask for closure. They ask for the person to finally understand. And the person might respond with affection, which feels like progress. But it is not structure. It is another reward. So your nervous system stays hooked. The way out is proof thinking, not hope thinking. Hope thinking says, the good moments mean it is real. Proof thinking says, what happens consistently when I have needs? Hope thinking says, they came back, so they care. Proof thinking says, do they repair and change the pattern? Hope thinking says, they said they miss me. Proof thinking says, do they show up with consistency? Intermittent reinforcement thrives on hope thinking because hope keeps you pulling the lever. Self-respect is proof thinking. It keeps you aligned with reality. Now, I want to give you a simple capacity test that is straightforward and easy. One sentence. No speeches, no begging, no pressure. You say, I enjoy you. I need consistency to keep going. What can you offer? Then you watch. A person with capacity can answer without punishing you. They might be nervous, but they engage. They clarify. They adjust. They follow through. A person without capacity will dodge, deflect, minimize, disappear, or return with affection but no change. That response is your answer. And the moment you accept that answer, self-respect begins to heal because you are no longer negotiating with a fantasy. You are aligning with truth. Before we go to the relapse moment, I want to show you exactly how intermittent reinforcement changes your internal voice, because this is where people start blaming themselves instead of naming the pattern. At the beginning, you think, "This is confusing." Later, you start thinking, "I am confusing." That is the shift. You start monitoring your feelings like they are the problem. You start treating your needs like they are the danger. You start saying things like, "I should not care this much. I should be cooler. I should not have brought it up. I should not have reacted. I should not need reassurance. I should not want consistency." That is not growth. That is your self-respect bending to fit someone else's instability. And it happens quietly. You do not wake up one day and decide to tolerate less. You just start making little exceptions. One more time. One more week. One more conversation. One more chance. And each time you accept the exception, you teach your nervous system that the pattern is survivable. Survivable is not the same as healthy. Now let us name 3 myths that keep smart people stuck in intermittent reinforcement. Myth 1 is, the good moments mean the relationship is real. The truth is, the good moments mean the good moments are real. They do not prove the overall pattern is safe. Myth 2 is, if I explain it better, they will understand and change. The truth is, people who have capacity do not need perfect wording to care. And people who do not have capacity will use your wording as a way to avoid accountability. Myth 3 is, if I detach enough, they will finally choose me. Sometimes they do return when you detach, but a return is not the same as a relationship. A return can be comfort-seeking. A return can be access. A return can be the person restoring the version of the bond that costs them the least. So do not measure success by whether they return. Measure success by whether your nervous system settles and your self-respect stays intact. Now, I want to give you a straightforward self-respect rebuild protocol that works even if you still care about the person. Think of it as replacing the old training with new training. Intermittent reinforcement trained you to chase relief, so you train yourself to choose stability. Step 1 is to name the pattern out loud to yourself the moment you feel the pull. Say, "This is intermittent reinforcement. This is the spike and crash." That sentence interrupts the trance. Step 2 is to stop making decisions in the peak or the crash. Do not make promises when they are warm. Do not send essays when they are cold. You wait until your body is neutral. Step 3 is to build a tiny standard you never break. One tiny standard. For example, I do not chase silence. Or, I do not accept plans that are vague. Or, I do not do affection without a conversation after rupture. A tiny standard is better than a huge speech because a tiny standard is something your nervous system can follow. Step 4 is to practice a clean response that protects you without escalating. Here are examples that keep you in structure. If they vanish and return like nothing happened, you say, "I am glad to hear from you. Before we go back to normal, I need to talk about the gap in communication." If they offer a sweet promise with no plan, you say, "I like hearing that. What does that look like in action this week?" If they accuse you of overthinking, you say, "I am not overthinking. I am noticing a pattern that affects me." Step 5 is to replace the reward system. In the old loop, their text was the reward. In the new loop, your reward is your own calm. Every time you choose a boundary, you give your nervous system a new message. I keep myself safe. I do not trade my dignity for relief. I can tolerate discomfort and still be aligned. Now, let us make this practical with a 7-day reset. For the next 7 days, you do 3 things. You stop chasing unclear contact. You stop rewarding returns that have no repair. And you watch behavior with a notebook brain, not a hopeful brain. At the end of the week, you make one decision based on the week of behavior, not the best moment. This is how you rebuild self-respect, with repeated alignment. Now, one more important piece. When you step back, your body can feel empty at first because it was used to spikes. That emptiness is not proof you should return. It is withdrawal from the pattern. Replace the spikes with steady routines that tell your nervous system, we can be safe without their attention. Now, I want to address the relapse moment, because this is where your nervous system will try to pull you back. The relapse moment is when you have finally pulled back, you have finally started to detach, and then they come back with a warm message. Your body floods with relief. You feel soft. You feel hopeful. You think, maybe it is different. That is the drug of intermittent reinforcement. So, you need a nervous system plan for that moment. Here is the plan. Pause. Take one slow breath. Put both feet on the ground. Name what is happening. This is relief, not proof. Then respond with structure, not emotion. You can say, I am glad to hear from you. I need us to address what happened when you went quiet. If we can do that, I am in. If not, I will take space. That is self-respect in action. It does not beg. It does not attack. It does not punish. It simply refuses to reward the pattern. Now, what if they respond by disappearing? That is not a tragedy. It is information. A healthy bond does not punish you for wanting a healthy bond. Now let us talk about why self-respect can feel impossible in these situations. Because self-respect sometimes feels like choosing pain now instead of relief now. Relief now feels good. It soothes anxiety. Self-respect sometimes means tolerating the discomfort of not getting that soothing hit. But that discomfort is withdrawal from the pattern, not proof that you are losing the love of your life. If your body feels shaky when you stop chasing, that is not destiny. That is recalibration. That is your nervous system learning a new baseline. Now we rebuild self-respect from the inside, not just through boundaries. Because you can set boundaries and still feel hooked if your inner world is still trained to equate unpredictability with value. So here are the internal shifts that rebuild you. Shift 1. Stop treating intensity as intimacy. Intensity is often nervous system activation. Intimacy is steadiness plus truth. Shift 2. Stop making your worth dependent on their attention. Their attention is not proof of your value. It is just their attention. Shift 3. Stop using moments as evidence. Use patterns. Patterns are the truth. Shift 4. Stop asking, what did they mean? Ask, what did they repeatedly do? Shift 5. Stop calling peace boring. Consistency is romantic. Predictability is not a lack of chemistry. It is safety. If you are used to intermittent reinforcement, stability can feel dull at first. You might even miss the spikes. That does not mean you belong in chaos. It means your nervous system is used to being activated. Healing is learning to crave steadiness again. Now let us talk about what self-respect looks like in real time. It looks like not sending the extra message when you are anxious. It looks like not accepting the apology that has no change attached. It looks like not being reset by a sweet text after a week of silence. It looks like not letting loneliness turn into a contract. It looks like saying, "I like you, and I need consistency," and then making your decisions based on behavior, not longing. Self-respect is not cruelty, it is honesty. It is choosing what is true even when your body wants relief. Now, I want to give you a final image that will stick, because images help the nervous system remember. Intermittent reinforcement is like being kept thirsty on purpose. Then, when you get a drop of water, it feels like love. But the drop is not love. The drop is the end of thirst for a moment. Love is not drops. Love is a steady source. Love is what you can count on. Love does not require you to abandon yourself to keep access. Love does not reward your silence and punish your needs. Love does not keep you guessing. And if you are hearing this and thinking, "Okay, but what if they are just avoidant and scared?" Fear can be real, but fear does not change the requirement for structure. If they cannot build, you cannot build for them. You can understand them and still require the basics. You can care and still choose yourself. And that is the deepest definition of self-respect. Choosing yourself without hatred. Leaving the pattern without needing to punish the person. Stepping back from the loop because you refuse to become someone who accepts chaos as normal. Now let us land this with a simple truth you can repeat when you feel pulled back in. Relief is not proof. Moments are not patterns. Affection is not structure. And self-respect is not something you find after they finally choose you. Self-respect is something you practice now, by choosing what is true. You do not need closure from them. You need clarity from you. Decide that unpredictability is not romance to your nervous system anymore. Decide that the price is too high. Decide that you will not pay with your dignity for a hit of relief. Because the moment you stop rewarding the pattern loses power. The moment you stop tolerating the loop, your nervous system starts to settle. And the moment your nervous system settles, your self-respect comes back online. Not as a speech, as a quiet strength, as a calm no, as a clean boundary, as a life that does not revolve around someone else's mood. Welcome to Psych Bond. You're safe here.